Yeah.
It's recording.
Yeah, now it's recording. Hopefully, I don't see anything from this slide. Hopefully, it's good. People back home probably will forgive us. We are blinded by the sun, so we
A
might
little bit, yeah.
we might as well look at each other.
Yeah.
We were not expecting this beautiful weather
It's been raining.
for 3 days in a row almost.
Yeah.
I really prayed yesterday to Divine Mother.
Really?
Yeah, I said, please make it beautiful today. Because there's no room in the ashram, it's packed, so
Yeah.
it would have been hard to record in the ashram.
And it's also nice to have a different background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This background is not the best, but that
Yeah, but the view
behind the camera, let's show them. Because maybe people will see what we see. So that's the view that we're watching. This is the valley, actually, that Guruji recognized when he came here. You know the story?
I've heard it, yeah.
He came
Yeah.
here on the balcony, he saw the valley and he said, oh, I remember this from a vision. This is the place. This is the place from the vision. So now we're here. How did you end up here? What's your story? From the beginning.
From
Take
the
your time.
beginning.
From the beginning.
Okay. So I think I started on the spiritual path very early. Like my mom used to go to this center, like where she would do meditations and other stuff. And at the time, sometimes I would go with her to this place and do some meditation. You know, I was very young, maybe I was 12 or 13. You know, meditation with crystals, shamanic meditations, all this kind of different stuff. But for me, it was just a hobby. It was something I would do when I had free time. I was a sports girl. I played basketball.
Basketball, right?
Since a very young age, so that was my passion. So spirituality at the time was like a hobby. But my mom was it was her preparation to come where she is now. She's also a devotee of Guruji. And for her, she was transforming her life. But for me, I was just, spending time with my mom and these nice people. Then she came to meet Guruji in 2016. Guruji went for darshan in Portugal. And so her process with Guruji started, and I was 16 at the time. So I started to get used to having Guruji's picture at our house. She would talk about him, but it was her thing, it was her guru. I didn't quite understood what a guru was and why you need a guru. But yeah, it was a nice man, nice face. It was okay, but it was her path. It was clear for me. Then I went to college in 2017, and I was just having this conversation with a devotee that my sense of purpose in life was always very related to what I would do professionally. So I went to college to study psychology, and I had these big expectations about it. And because I had big expectations, I got very much disappointed.
What were the expectations?
I chose psychology because I had a very nice philosophy teacher in high school. And she kind of influenced us to go to psychology because she was amazing. You know how we have a lot of gurus during our life. So she was one of them, definitely, because in her classes, she would always make us question, the meaning of life. And she was much more than a teacher. She was a human being, and she saw us as humans, her students. So she would always make us think about things, go deeper on our questions. So she studied psychology, and then I guess she influenced a lot of us to go to college and study psychology, because I liked philosophy very much, but then it was okay, what I'm going to do with this then later.
Is this sustainable on the long term?
Yeah. So I chose psychology, and I thought it would be very much philosophy related and, spirituality related, and it wasn't. So I got very disappointed, and then other stuff in my life happening that just made me start questioning, okay, what I'm doing here. Really a deep quest of a deep search of, okay, what is my purpose? And I got really depressed because I couldn't find a reason to be here, like really, it was really deep. So at night I would have a lot of insomnias, you know, where your mind is thinking and thinking and thinking. And so my mom started to suggest, oh, you know, you can do some japa or some chanting. You can watch Guruji's satsangs, but I was very stubborn. But eventually I got to such a limit that I said, okay, let's see what this man has to say. I started to watch Guruji's satsangs, and then his message started to come through somehow in the things that I was doing, and life just started to change. It's like I opened the door for him to come, and things started to change. I started to see life differently.
So it was slowly.
Slowly, yeah. Yeah, and then I started to go to the temple and to meet the Sangha, to be with devotees. And I started to see the purpose for our existence here through him, you know, and through his message. And then in 2019, the Sangha decided to come here to Springen to meet him personally. So we came for Shivaratri and for darshan. So I remember my mind was freaking out when I came here. Like I was so scared of meeting him, actually. But I don't have many memories of the first darshan. I just remember I cried a lot. And then just came this sense of, okay, this is my path and I belong here. You know?
You felt it then?
Straight away, yeah.
Wow.
Straight away. And I even felt like, okay, I want to live in an ashram and to become a nun. Like straight away it was clear. I don't know, it just came. And when we went back to normal life, just...
It made no sense.
It made no sense, yeah. I guess a lot of us feel that when we meet Guruji. You know? So it was tough to continue, you know, to study and to do your daily duties. Always thinking of Guruji and having that, you know, that feeling you have in the beginning, like when you fall in love.
Honeymoon.
Yeah, the honeymoon phase. Yeah, and then I came to Springen on that summer, and then Guruji gave a surprise darshan in Portugal at the end of that year.
It's when he appeared?
Yeah, he appeared.
Is that
A surprise.
story,
Yeah.
People were freaking out. Like, he manifested what happened.
It's crazy. It was crazy.
You were in the room?
No, I was not there because they were doing a course, and we were. But the moment it happened, we were in prayers. Like the local sangha, we were at the temple, and we just look at our phones, and everybody was freaking out. Guruji's in Portugal. Guruji's in Fatima, and so he's giving darshan tomorrow. So we took a car and we went immediately, straight away. But I regret I was not in the room on that moment because it must have been an experience.
Yeah.
So on that darshan, I took courage and asked Guruji if I could quit my studies and come to Springen for a seva program. And straight away he laughed and he said no. And I was like, okay, are you going to say something else? And he was blessing a murti of my mom. And then he looked at me and he said, you finish your studies and maybe Vrindavan. And for me it was very surprising because I had this image of India, you know, when you are on the spiritual path. But I didn't thought it would be happening so quickly, like going to India and especially Vrindavan. I didn't know what Vrindavan was. Like I heard stories and experiences from other devotees, but
if you haven't been there, it's quite...
Yeah.
It's mystical.
Yeah.
It's a fantasy.
And you can't really explain, like when you speak to other people, like... So I started to get used of this idea, and at the time I was finishing my bachelor degree, but the master's was included. Like in Portugal, we have this sort of system. Yeah, 2-in-1.
Nice.
But I was a bit naughty, and then I came to Summer Sangha at the time on the next year. I said, okay, maybe I can ask him. I have finished my bachelor degree. Maybe I can go now to Vrindavan. So I asked him, and he said, no, you do your master's. So 2 more years.
No.
He made me wait, yeah. And at the time we had an interesting conversation, and I said, yeah, Guruji, but I don't like what I'm studying. And he said, what do you study? And I said, psychology. I said, oh, that's nice. I also did psychology. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, for 4 years. And I said, yeah, Guruji, but spirituality is so distant from psychology, like how they teach you things in college is so different for what I'm learning with you, you know? And he said, no, spirituality is in everything. And that would be the conclusion, actually, one of the main conclusions of my thesis 2 years later. So he was already telling me like where I should go to make this bridge between spirituality and psychology.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So 2 years passed and I delivered my thesis in November, and then I had a flight to go to Vrindavan in January. So straight away. But the funny thing was that when I went to Vrindavan, I felt it was, for me in my mind, in my plan, it was the worst time to go. Because I was in a relationship, I just finished my studies, I had a job opportunity from a from a teacher that I loved at the time, so it didn't felt quite the right time to go to an ashram. And I was quite disconnected from Guruji at the time.
You were immersed into the world.
Yeah, into the world, into Maya, into, you know.
Yeah, you had to study, you had to go all in.
Yeah.
In order to deliver it.
Yeah. But I trusted his word, you know. He had said that maybe Vrindavan, and he actually gave me the blessing to go straight away after finishing studies. So I just had to trust him at the time. Yeah, so I went for a 6-month program. I came to India in January, and when I got there...
When was that? What year?
It was January 2023.
2023.
Yeah, so last year. I was quite lost, and you know how it is when you go to Vrindavan for the first time. Everything is just overwhelming, and it's how Guruji says, no, you cannot see Vrindavan with your physical eyes.
Yeah.
But I was in that mindset, so I felt quite lost and quite abandoned by God. He just placed me here and...
Yeah, it's quite intense, Vrindavan.
Yeah.
Because it's not the Vrindavan that we have. You reread the Bhagavatam and say, oh, Vrindavan, magical place. Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't felt like that at all. So I felt quite lost going there, and I remember at night speaking to my mom crying, I don't know what I'm doing here, like, I don't know why Guruji put me here. And then she said, okay, you stay there for 2 weeks. If after the end of these 2 weeks you still feel that you don't belong there, you come back. So I said, okay. And just started to, you know, okay, I need to trust Guruji and that he placed me for a reason. I just gonna engage in my seva and let's see what happens. So after 2 weeks, I didn't want to leave. I started to focus on the things that I had to do and just, you know, be open-hearted to what Vrindavan has to give you. Then Guruji went there for Holi, and after that, everything changed. Like after he was there, I started to build this relationship with Radha and Krishna because it's my Ishtadev, so it's the best place to do that. And yeah, to be more engaged in seva more and more, to be open to people because I would hide also very much in the beginning, like being very, I had my heart closed to other people and to, even to seva, like people would come to propose me things and I would say no because I would think that I'm not the right person to do this or I'm not good enough to do this. So it was a intense process, let's say. But then after Guruji came there, everything changed and my connection with him was growing again, stronger and stronger. And yeah, life in Vrindavan is tough, but I would say what Krishna gives you there has challenges. He gives you also the same amount of love, like to compensate. It's very hard to explain what Vrindavan is if you haven't experienced it. I don't know if you have that feeling.
2019, I was for the first time there, Holi, and then the second year again. It was right after we became devotees, me and my wife. So Vrindavan for us is like a magical place. That's where we played in front of Guruji for the first time, and we decided we quit acting. It was the end. Yeah, it made no sense after playing in front of him. And it was a really small play with no experience whatsoever, the people in Romania. It was their first play, but it had such magical vibe to it, and the Leela that was everything that played there was so
Which
special.
play was it?
We did the Radha Kund Leela. So it was quite simple. Before us, there was another play. It was a magnificent play, like with so many elements, so many actors. And we were the next day, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's gonna be a disaster! Oh, look at these guys; they're professional almost." And we just said, "Focus on Krishna. When Krishna comes on stage, just focus on Krishna, and that's it. If you do that, that's going to be magic." And the feedback was from the audience because it was so simple, childish almost. It was almost childish with grown-ups, but childish. And I had the small part at the beginning, and then I was the narrator, and I could watch Guruji the whole play.
Oh.
And the way he was watching, the way he was so sweet. He was like a father watching his children play, and he was like, "Look at them, they're so sweet." And for me, that was life-changing. As an actor, when you have a premiere, the first night is the worst. I mean, is the worst because you have the critics, the people from the industry, everybody, or your colleagues come. So it's your worst night because you want to prove. Egos are like this high, stress. It's like terrible. And in Bhakti Marga, we have only premieres because you play once.
It's true.
And Guruji and the audience of Bhakti Marga, the most amazing experience you could have as an actor, because everybody's so open, they can hardly wait to see what you have to offer. They don't come to see, let's see what they did. No, they're like super open. So that was for me, okay, I cannot go back. Like you said, after you experience some things with him, you cannot go back to that reality where there's competition, there's suffering created by the mind, so you try to find a way out. The lucky ones have the opportunity to live in an ashram or stuff like that, but there are a lot of devotees who still do their duties, and I applaud them. It's really hard. And to be confident and to stay strong, that's what Guruji says.
And to find him in whatever you are doing in the world, that's the biggest challenge, I think. Because when you're in an ashram, it's easy. Everything is about God.
Yeah.
It's not easy because of the process.
It's intense. But somehow you have the Sangha with you all the time. You get also the support for that intensity. Yeah. But if you're alone, that requires quite a discipline with yourself.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny you're talking about the plays because that year in Holi we did a play for Guruji. And I think that was the changing moment for me in my relationship with him, because I got to play Radha. We did a Narsim Mehta play.
Oh, yeah.
And Hiranmai, she organizes the plays there. And when she came to me, we're going to do a play for Guruji, you want to be part of it? And I think, okay, like I'm going to be a tree, or I'm going to, have a back row, let's say. And then when she came to me to say, I think you would be a good Radha, I was like, no way. But she told me one very important thing in the beginning. She said, whenever people come to you with seva or to propose you something, always say yes. You always say yes, because you don't know the blessings that will come when you are open to service, So I took that and I said, okay, I don't know who Radha is. I don't know what's her relationship to Krishna, because for me, since the beginning, it was always just Krishna. Always. And when Guruji told me my Ishtadeva was Radha Krishna, okay, it made sense. But for me, Radha was like, okay, she's there, but...
It's just one of the gopis. People following Guruji,
But through that play, I got to know, I was so scared, like, to perform, your ego gets in, am I good enough for this? Because the ego, it works for when you think that you are very good at doing something, but also when you think you are not good enough. It comes from the same place, no? Yeah. And I didn't thought I was good enough to play Radha. I didn't know how to dance. We had to perform these very intimate scenes of Radha and Krishna, and I didn't know what this type of love was, because we have this idea, a concept of what this divine love is, but we don't know practically what it is. The colleague the devotee that was performing Krishna, she had experience, in dancing and performing, and I didn't had at all. So that made me also feel more insecure. So it was a big process. And Hiranmai told me at the time, you do your thing. We had practices every day performing, and she said, you will see when you're on stage, he will do it for you. Like there will be some sort of process that he will do it for you.
Yeah.
And it was really like that. I don't remember being on stage. I don't remember performing. He did it, and something clicked like between me and Radha, and I understood. No, there's no way you can connect with him without having her. No, he's the goal and she's the way. No.
Yeah.
And it really changed everything, that play. Like, I really think Guruji enjoys plays so much, but it's not just that. Like, he does something for us when we are on stage also.
It's crazy because it gives you the opportunity to experience something that you would not experience.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, being part of the community now and having the opportunity to work with Bhavani for the plays, I look back like almost 20 years of my life, I was playing different characters. Directors were having dreams at night and, I want to do this, I want to do this. Okay, and you were serving different egos. But here you have the opportunity to serve Guruji with devotees and playing saints, playing characters like, I mean, it's like tonight. Tonight is going to be the performance with Kali.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you have this opportunities to really feel that energy, because we did like the last plays we did here were Tukaram and then Mirabai. And
Mirabai was amazing.
Yeah, and even though the cast is somehow the same, you could feel the energy is completely different according to the saint, according to the Leela. And it's so beautiful to watch because you feel that energy there, the presence of that divine quality in itself. And it's unique.
It's a sadhana in a sense. Yeah. When you're preparing, you get so much involved in the story that it changes you, somehow.
And the big difference that you have from professional theater, like I told you, the premiere night is the hardest. That's the moment that everybody believes in God. Even the atheists believe in God. And everybody's like, God, please make it a good night because I'm going to be judged, Yeah. It's judgment day for actors. And everybody believes in God. Everybody's praying in their own way. Everybody's doing small crosses around the corner, touching they're doing whatever.
Players.
Yeah. And they have those 5-10 minutes before they enter on stage. And then boom. And at the end, me. But here, there's no moment. The ego doesn't really have so much space because everybody knows you're serving. And during the whole play, everybody's focusing on God because they know my only way out of this is if I focus on Guruji, if I focus on God. And this is what we do. Backstage, everybody's like in complete silence, people doing japa, doing their aki. During the play, super focused. Everybody's watching Guruji so the main focus is God. And that for me is like, it's a game changer. Like, the difference is like incomparable. Yeah. In the world, you give 5 minutes to God. Here, you give the whole day to Him.
It's a big opportunity. Yeah.
And this was the play for you. This changed the relationship.
Yeah, this changed the relationship with Guruji. I think also when you put yourself also out of the comfort zone, because Guruji pushes you for situations to go out of your comfort zone, then you also. He also shows you how much worthy it is. Yeah. So for me, I feel like our relationship grew deeper because of that. So then, I was meant to be there for 6 months. But then I stayed more and more and more because I really felt, okay, this is where I belong. For the first time, I felt that I belonged somewhere. Like even the devotees there, the Sangha, like it was my family and I belong here. This is my home. This is my family. I want to stay here. So I stayed and stayed. Then Guruji was there for Kartik. You were there also, no? For the
Vishwaguru.
Vishwaguru, yeah. We also did a play. And
Beautiful.
Yeah, we couldn't make it without you guys because you appeared like a...
No,
it
it
you
was
saved us.
such an amazing experience. Yeah.
Because we've been preparing, but a few days before we were like, okay, there's a lot of things that need to be done still. And you just, guys, you came and you saved us. Like we really felt like...
it was just the director.
Yeah,
He orchestrated it. He just orchestrated everything.
Yeah.
You know, Guruji is like amazing in this aspect. Just orchestrates everything.
It was amazing. It was an amazing play. And yeah, on that darshan, I already felt this calling to become a brahmacharini. So I asked Guruji if I could stay in Vrindavan to serve him and to become a brahmacharini. And yeah, during darshan, he looked into the distance, like you know how he does.
Yeah.
And then he said yes, and he gave me his blessing. So I got initiated during that time.
During Vishwa, I think I saw it. It was outside. It was that
No.
No, you were in the temple.
Yeah.
Outside it was the big devotee initiation.
Yeah. We were in the temple. I got initiated, and then at the time I was thinking, oh, he must be looking into the distance and seeing the amazing service I will perform here in Vrindavan. But he was seeing something else, like something else was coming. And then I went back to Portugal to treat the visa, to take a student visa so I could be there a long time. And then I came back to Vrindavan just before Holi this year, like March. So it was a lot of work. I was working on the pilgrimage department, so all the pilgrimage preparation, all this stuff was a lot of work, a lot of stress. So maybe I was not so much aware of what was going on in my body at the time. And I remember during pilgrimage, Guruji was super sweet. Like whenever I had interactions with him, he was being super sweet. I was starting to think, okay, something must be coming. He's being too sweet. He's like, he's preparing the ground for something to come. Even darshan, it was the sweetest darshan I had with him. Something was coming. And then, after Guruji left, I started to have some symptoms. Like I started to have some pain in my stomach. A lot of bloating in my belly, like even if I wouldn't eat the whole day, it felt like I had something here in the belly, like physically. But you're in Vrindavan, you know how it is in India.
Yeah.
Viruses, bacteria, it's something normal. So it took me a lot of time to go to make a proper checkup. Maybe I'm going to tell this story. I'm going to be a bit detailed, but I think it's in the details that Guruji showed me that he's there for
sure.
everything.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if I'm going to be too much detailed.
All in.
So one day I woke up and I said, okay, I need to do a checkup. Like I was feeling something was not okay. I was even not being myself because I had something in the back of my mind telling me something is not wrong. You need to look at it. So we went to Mathura because in Vrindavan there's no proper healthcare. You know how it is. We went to Mathura and I did an ultrasound. And then at the time it showed that my lymphatic nodes were very swollen. Like the biggest one was like 5 centimeters, very big. And the doctor looked at that and I'm almost sure you have abdominal tuberculosis because this is something very common in India. And this is one of the main symptoms. But then the exams for tuberculosis, they all came negative. It was very weird. So then we did a MRI, that's how I say. And on the MRI, it showed that it was written already. There is a mass in the head of the pancreas, probably malignous. And I have this clear image. I was in the exam room, and the radiologist was looking at the result, and he was looking at me, and he said, oh, this is very subjective. It depends on the doctor that writes. I'm looking at you. I don't think you're very young. I don't think it's possible that you have this. So we went to see the doctor again, and he was ready to send me home, like with just some pills for, I don't know,
Or a random
bacteria,
disease, whatever.
something like that. And I remember the Tejomai, she was with me at the time, and another brahmachari named Moksha, and both of them just jumped into the doctor, like, it's not possible that you're sending us home, she's not being herself, like they really, that sisterhood just came in the moment. They even like spoke for me. It's not possible that you're sending her home like this, no way. And the doctor said, okay, then I think you should go to Delhi and to do a proper checkup. So Guruji was informed at the time of the situation, and he said, you go to Delhi, you do all the exams, don't fear because I would be with you. And if it's pancreatic cancer, as the doctor said, then you should stay in India for treatment. And I was very happy with this information because in my mind I was already concerned that I would have to go, back to Portugal for treatment or something like that. So we went to Delhi. Everything was smooth. Like, I was not scared at the time. Like, I had an operation. They took one of the lymphatic nodes so they could test it. I remember being in the hospital watching Walk the Talk, actually. Yeah. And everything was just very... I was not concerned that it would be cancer or not, because I really felt Guruji's presence. Like, he told me not to be afraid, and I was not afraid. So after the operation, we came back to Vrindavan. I was recovering, and they would send the results later. And then my birthday came. It was 8th of May. And I woke up that morning with this strange feeling, like very contemplative, but also there was some sort of anguish inside of me, like something is wrong. I woke up feeling... I turned 25 and I was like, okay, what did I do with this 25 years that God graced me with? And I was keep thinking of this. Did I serve enough? Did I did enough? Did I enjoy my life? Because I had this feeling of, I think I was too much afraid of being myself. I didn't enjoy life enough because of this fear. And I remember that day, everybody was being so nice, like, not just because it was my birthday. I started to feel they already knew something I didn't knew. And in truth, some of them already knew the results. But they didn't tell me because it was my birthday.
Quite a good gift.
Yeah. So the next day, the brahmachari that was in contact with Guruji, she came in the room, very serious. So I already knew. And she sat down and she said, okay, the results came. It's stage 4 cancer in the pancreas and also a lymphoma, like both things. And I spoke with Guruji, and he told me to tell you that you have approximately 3 months to live, that now it's going to be very fast, that your soul knows that you have a little time, and that now you should focus on the small joys of life. And it was very overwhelming, like you having your guru telling you that you don't have much time to live. It's intense. I remember I was in shock, cried a lot, and she asked, do you want to speak with him? And I said, yes. So I quickly wrote down in a paper all the questions that I wanted to ask him. My mind was going crazy, like, can I do something to make it be in a different way? What did I do, like, karmically to be this way? Like, can you change the situation? All these questions, your mind starts... The fear makes you...
You want to understand.
Yeah, you want to understand what's happening. So Guruji called, and he was very sweet, but he was also very serious. So I knew it was intense. He was being very serious. So he started to ask some questions, like, didn't you notice anything before? Like, and I said, no, I didn't have any symptoms. He asked if I was an only child, and I said, yes. And he said, oi, oi, oi. And since the beginning, he was very concerned about my parents. And he said, you have to make a decision if you want to stay in India or to go to Portugal. And you have to be clear on what you want, because soon you won't be able to travel. And since the beginning, all I wanted to do was to stay in Vrindavan. Especially if I had 3 months to live. Okay, this is where I want to stay. I want to serve you until the end, and I want to depart here. Like, this is my home. It makes sense for me. And he didn't say if it was the right choice or not. He always gave me the freedom to choose, but he didn't say what I should do. So from all those questions that I have written, I could only ask two. Like, I asked him, did I miss my chance in this life? Like, I got to know you, but having this thought of maybe I didn't do enough, did I miss my chance? And he was very sweet. He said, no, you're in Vrindavan, and in Vrindavan a lot of things get burned. Mm-hmm. And then I said, okay, and I know this is a stupid question, but when my time comes to an end, like, will you be there? And he just said yes. And then he said, okay, now you have to give everything you have to Krishna, because only him can make a miracle now. So yeah, after the call, I just felt very peaceful. Like, I was relieved actually that I knew that I had little time. I felt it was a blessing to know that I have this time, and I wanted to enjoy as much as possible serving him and dedicating this time to God. So suddenly it became a mission. Okay, what do you want to do with this 3 months of life here in Vrindavan?
Clock is ticking.
Yeah, but it was such a beautiful situation because, when a disease comes, it doesn't come only for you, it comes also for the people around you. So it was beautiful to see how all the ashram came together, to take care of me, like how we worked as a family to make it. Yeah, I don't know. I will never be able to pay back this love that the devotees gave me there. It was really like a sense of family. And so we went to see an oncologist, the first one, and he looked at the results and he looked at me and he said, no, it's not possible. If you would be 50 years or 60 years, it would make sense that you have this cancer, but at 25, it's not possible. There's a cancer for every
stage of life. Yeah,
for each age, it's not possible. And looking how you look, it's really not possible that you have this result. And I remember I was with two brahmacharis and we were thinking, yeah, but he doesn't know that we have the guru that we have, so he can make...
He doesn't care about time.
Yeah, about time, and he can make anything possible, no? The impossible becomes possible with him, for the good and for the bad. So they tested the samples like 4 times, different hospitals, different doctors we were looking for. And Guruji was very straight since the beginning. Okay, if you want to stay there, then your parents need to know that this is your decision, and they should come to be with you, to spend time with you. So my mom was already preparing everything to come, but my father, it was really hard because he's not a devotee. He's not connected to spirituality at all, so he couldn't understand I have cancer and why I would want to stay in India, and not go back to Portugal. Because also in Portugal, because of the healthcare system that we have there, the chemotherapy is for free. And in India, I would have to pay everything. Although since the beginning, Guruji said if I needed something money-wise, he would be supportive in that way. And he told me to do chemotherapy anyway, although he told the 3 months thing. So my mom was preparing to come, but we were having some sort of conflicts about this decision. Like, are you sure you really want to stay there? Maybe we won't be able to support as much. And Vrindavan is not the best place to receive chemotherapy because after that you have to be very careful, no? So some sort of conflict started to arise, and I was speaking to Swamini Mohini, and she said, okay, I feel that you have to message Guruji about this. So I wrote a message, Guruji, this is going on, my parents, we are not sure. And straight away he called. It was like he was on the phone waiting for the message. He called and he said, okay, I think you should go to Portugal now. And I started to cry because in my mind I was like, okay, you can give me cancer, you can tell me I'm dying, but please don't take me away from Vrindavan. Please don't. This is the worst thing that you can do. And because I was delaying it already in my mind, he straight away said, okay, when you're gonna go? He knew that in my mind I was delaying it as much as possible. So he straight away said, okay, when are you going? I said, okay, Guruji, I will try to schedule the trip for next week. But I said, I really don't want to go. And he said, yeah, I know. But Vrindavan is where my devotees are. And you can take a piece of sand and Vrindavan will always be with you. So don't worry. And he also said, maybe if Krishna makes a miracle, maybe you will be back in Vrindavan one day. It was the second time he was mentioning a miracle. Sorry, I just have to...
Yeah. Because miracle is something that it's his business.
Yeah.
It's what he...
It's what he does.
It is what he does, yeah, basically, with miracles.
And he said also, yeah, you go back to Portugal, but don't worry, I will see you soon. And I said, when you come to Portugal for darshan? And he said, I really don't know my agenda. I don't remember if it's in August, but don't worry, I will see you soon. So I had a week to prepare everything to go back. We did, okay, what's the last things that you want to do here in Vrindavan? Because it was planned that I was going to die soon. So we just made it a mission, okay, let's go for parikrama, let's go to bath in the Yamuna. Everything became a mission. And we really enjoyed those last days in Vrindavan. And I got offered the chance to come for Guruji's birthday suddenly. By another devotee. And I came, so that's what Guruji meant for, I will see you soon. He didn't tell me why, but he already did, don't worry, I will see you soon. Yeah, then I got back to Portugal, and I remember on the plane coming from India, I cried, I don't know, maybe for 6 hours straight, because sending me away from Vrindavan, it was really like ripping a part of my heart away. Like I really felt a part of me died. Or a part of me stayed in Vrindavan, really. It was really hard. Because also I knew, when you are in an ashram, like we were talking before, everything is about God. So, yeah, I had a disease, yeah, I'm dying, but still everything is about God. It's not about yourself. You can almost forget about yourself. That's the point. And I knew that once I would go to Portugal, because with my family and with treatments, everything would get much more...
And people are worried there.
Yeah.
They don't have the safety net that we have somehow with the faith. And they will always be in that mindset of negativity and worrying.
Yeah, even at the hospital, no? Because even in India, like the doctors were telling me, no, you're a devotee of Krishna, he will take care of everything,
Yeah.
So still at the hospital there, everything was about God. But in Portugal, I knew that things would get very serious. So I got home straight away. I had appointment with the doctors at the hospital. We were repeating the tests. And then I came for Guruji's birthday in June here. And he was coming down, like the procession from his home to the temple. And he stopped and he asked, how are you? I said, Guruji, I'm okay. Doctors in Portugal say that maybe I don't have a lymphoma, I just have the pancreatic cancer. And he looked at me very seriously and he said, yeah, but the pancreatic cancer, it's much worse than the lymphoma. And I said, yeah, Guruji, I know. And then he laughed and he said, maybe I also have pancreatic cancer. I need to do some checkup. And, he was playing a little bit with the situation, making it more light. Then he said, I will speak to you later. Then we had very nice celebration in the temple. And when it was finished, everybody was sort of leaving the temple. I was next to the puja kitchen, and then he came in the door, and then he looked down at me and he did like this, like, what do you want, my child? I looked at him and he said, so you didn't start treatment yet? And I said, no, Guruji, they have to make the tests again to be sure that this is the cancer that I have. And he said, yeah, but didn't you do all the tests in India already? In my mind, I was thinking, yeah, but you sent me to Portugal.
I have to do them again.
Yeah, I have to do them again. They have to be sure. And he said, okay. And then he looked at the sky and he said, maybe if Krishna wants it, maybe the results will come clean and you don't have anything. I said, okay. He was playing with my mind, it's the third time you speak about a miracle. You either tell me that I'm dying, or you either tell me that you're going to make a miracle and everything is going to be fine.
Oh my God.
But it's a very in-between situation. It's a very hard place to be in. Like, are you prepared to leave this world, or
you hope for the future?
Yeah. But
Wow, it's amazing to keep you on that line.
Yeah, how he plays with you. Like, Then we had a very nice dinner outside with him. And at the end of the dinner, I went to say goodbye to him because I had exams to do in Portugal the day after. And I went to him and he looked at me very serious and he asked, "Where does your courage comes from?" And I looked at him and I said, "It comes from you, Guruji. I also don't know where it comes from. It can only come from you." Then he looked at me very serious and he said, "Okay, you be strong now." And I knew things would get serious from that point on. You be strong now. And don't worry, I will see you in Portugal when I come for darshan. So it took some time. I went back home. It took some time for the doctors to get the results, to schedule the treatment, to decide on what treatment to do. And meanwhile, my liver started to have some problems because of the tumor was growing so big that it was pressuring the channels of my liver. And I started to be yellow, like everything yellow in me. So I got admitted to the hospital. They needed to do some sort of operation to put an artificial channel in my liver so it could work. Meanwhile, time for Guruji to go to Portugal was approaching. So I was starting to be scared. Maybe I won't make it for darshan. Maybe I'm dying, like the 3 months are passing and I won't be able to see him. And during online darshan, I was at the hospital and he said, "Hari Sundari, I know what's going on. Don't worry. I will see you for darshan." I'm telling you all these details because in each situation, like, we know our guru is with us, but he was clearly showing me, like, in every detail, every step he was there supporting. It's amazing. Like, really, my strength comes from him, literally. Like, he's supporting me like a mother is holding a baby, Like, he does that with all of us, but he's being very sweet. So yeah, the doctors discharged me, especially to go for darshan because they knew it was something very important for me. So I went, and Guruji arranged things in a way that my father would have to take us. So
even if he wanted,
even if he didn't want to, he took my mom and me for darshan, and he also received darshan. So it was the first time we received darshan as a family. It was a very sweet moment. Guruji gave us darshan, and then he looked at me and he said, "How are you?" And I said, "No, Guruji, I'm okay." And what are the doctors saying? And I said, "I cannot receive chemotherapy because my liver is not good." Then he placed his hand on my belly. He started to write something very discreetly, like it's recorded. He just did like this and write something. And he finished and he looked at me. "Yeah, but how is your spirit?" And I was crying and I said, "Guruji, I'm sad. I want to live." Because in my mind, since the beginning, I want to live. It's like your Satguru is here. He's incarnated. We don't know how many lives we have worked to have him. So if you are here, I want to stay here. And I know he's also on the other side, but and I told him, I want to live. And he said, "Yeah, but don't you know that you belong to him already?" Then he looked at my mom and he asked how she was. And then she said, "You need to be strong because this one," and then he tapped my father in the chest. He was playing with him and he said, "Because this one, he's a little bit weak." He was playing a little bit with my father. But then after the darshan, my father came to him and came to me and he said, "I don't understand this path. I don't understand who Guruji is. But somehow after having darshan, I feel more positive now. And I know that things will be okay. However they turn out to be, things will be okay because I know he's taking care." And this was really the miracle. Like, the miracle was not that I get healed. It was the changes that it was bringing in the people around me, including my father. Now he sends me videos of Guruji. He sends me satsangs of Guruji. We are here for Navaratri and he's sending me the videos every day. Like, I know that I'm here,
So sweet.
Sweet, very sweet. And you see this is really the miracle that he's doing. It's the changes, not only in myself, but in other people. And the next day we had a program in our ashram. And I went to say goodbye to him. He was asking, like, "Are you in pain?" I said, yeah, a little bit. He manifested some vibhuti into my mouth. He also gave me a mantra to chant and also some special ash to take. And then he was very serious again, and he said, how much do you love Krishna? And I said, very much, Guruji. What do you say?
What do you say?
What to say? And he said, then you should know that he holds life and death on his hands. So don't worry, don't fear. This is just something that you have to go through. So these words really got stuck into my mind. Okay, it doesn't matter what comes. This is just something I have to go through. It doesn't matter the outcome. Like if I live or die, this is just, there's no way to go around this situation. I have to go through it. So we started chemotherapy. I'm going to the 4th cycle now. Like before, I was not planning to come for Navaratri. I was in a hard place before coming because, I fear death very much, to be honest. Like the idea of not knowing what it's like on the other side, although I know he's there, it frightens me very much. And also the idea of departing, with this feeling that maybe I didn't do enough or maybe I didn't live enough. So I started to have a lot of fears, a lot of questions, a lot of doubts, even about Guruji, which is, it's so stupid. Like he's showing me how he's there since the beginning, but still our minds, we question.
Another challenge to get out more negativity.
Yeah. And then I was not planning to come for Navaratri. And then on the second night, I got, it was Brahmachari day, so Brahmacharis would be in front, no? I got to the yagna very late, so I got a place next to the Swaminis, like occasionally.
By chance.
By chance, yeah. And I saw Guruji went behind the curtain for the initiations, and then Swami Revati came to call Rishika Triambakeshwari, and I was so happy, like, for her.
Yeah.
And then Guruji comes behind from the curtain, and he calls me. And I said, okay, we're going to speak about the situation. He's going to give me a super ma blessing to cure my cancer or something like this. And then we come in front of Ma. He looks at me and he said, I'm going to initiate you. And I couldn't say anything. What do you say? Okay. And suddenly I'm outside in middle of cold Germany. We're taking a shower. I have this Swaminis chanting this mantra around me, and my mind is going crazy. Like, what's happening? What's going on? I received the orange clothes. The red would be made more sense. There's some steps that you have to take. My mind is going crazy. Like, wow. I saw the images after. I'm so serious because I'm not understanding what's going on. Like, I was so confused. Like, didn't make sense to me. Like, you're making me a Swamini at this point of my life. I'm going for treatment. It doesn't make sense. Like, why me? No. I didn't got to speak to Guruji so far. I spoke with Swami Revati and he told how things were behind the curtain. So, they have a list of names. It was a surprise, I think, even for Guruji. So Guruji said that the Divine Mother came to him and she told him, like, she loves Krishna so much, there's no chance you cannot initiate her. So it was a last-minute plan, even for Guruji, seemingly, like, it felt like that. But he told also Swami Revati that the plan is still the same, like, I'm meant to depart soon, and that this should be as a final act, like a final blessing. It really feels like that. So my duties as Swamini, they are very free. Like, Guruji gave me the freedom to do what I want. But of course, I want to serve him until the end. Doesn't matter what comes. So yeah, we're at this point now. Long story, but
it's like a gripping story that is like a movie unraveling, and now we're in the climax of the movie. Like the character receives like the special outfit. Now he's preparing for the final battle, and
Yeah.
like, but it's beautiful because the story itself, it's so inspiring, and maybe now it's also a way it's like Krishna saying, make her orange so she's more visible. She cannot hide anymore. She
It's
cannot
true.
be in the background,
It's
and
true.
people will come to you and they would want to hear the story because it's such an inspiring story.
Yeah, it's been I really feel like that. Like this is just an excuse for me to share my experience, because my experience really shows me the role that the Sadhguru has in your life. He carries you like again, like a mother carries the baby. It's just an excuse for show how great he is, what he does for us.
Anyway, I was listening to your story and I was like, I was like,
Yeah, what's going on?
I'm sure for people who are watching this now, it's the same, to experience this. But yeah, it's so beautiful to understand that Guruji is creating all this experience in order for us to serve. If we wouldn't have had these experiences, what is there to share?
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a lot to share now because he gives us experience. This is how he teaches us.
Yeah, he makes you grow through experience.
And it's
like they were saying the other day, first experience and then knowledge.
Yes.
That's how Guruji works. Although it's tough this way.
But it's valuable because it has a deep impact.
Yeah.
It's not something that the mind will understand, and it's less corrupted. Because through knowledge you have to really dig deep and make sure, but through experiences like the shortcut, you go straight into the experience, and then from there the mind will start to understand stuff. But experience comes also with the whole package of emotion, of empathy, compassion, love. This is all in the package of experience. And this is something that you don't get if you read the books.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Amazing story. And how do you feel now?
You mean with
overall, with this change that has happened with your health, and how do you feel after the initiation?
I'm still a bit overwhelmed because everybody was shocked. I was shocked. Even Guruji was a little bit. Although he knows everything that happens, and he's the one making the plan. But I'm still a bit shocked and still trying to adapt. Also trying to understand what he wants, but it's what we said. I guess it's just an excuse for me to not hide anymore and to share and to be with the devotees and to I keep going back to this thing that he told me, Vrindavan is where my devotees are. So I guess how I wanted to live was those 3 months in Vrindavan. So through this situation, he's making me Vrindavan the daily reality, because I've been with devotees every day, sharing the experience, and I see how touched people are, but it's by the whole situation and how inspired they are. But it's just really an excuse. I'm just being an instrument to show how great he is, and how important it is to have him in our lives. So I'm happy. My heart is really happy with all of this. I still have a lot of fear. Like, it's not like the doubts went away suddenly and the fears went away suddenly, but I'm working through them. Yeah, I'm half happy, half overwhelmed still with everything. Yeah, so I'm building this trust in him more and more. I know it's a process. I'm also trying to be compassionate with myself. It's an intense process, and it takes. So yeah, it's a journey.
Such a beautiful lesson, to love also yourself.
Yeah, which is something that I didn't do before. Not that I do now and that I have everything resolved, because I don't. But, when you are told that you have short time to live, your perspective on things change completely. I started to question myself, okay, am I still going to be living with fear if I have this short amount of time? How do I want to do it? Am I going to still be concerned about what other people think of me? Because this was something that really was really waiting a lot before, like, it was really heavy for me how other people saw me, if I was accepted, if they liked me. I thought my value was measured by what other people would think of me.
Mm-hmm.
And with this situation, it's just like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Like,
It's a waste of time.
yeah. And to live with fear, if you are living with fear, you're not living. It's how Guruji says, the opposite energy of love is not hate, it's fear. So all these things, they are changing slowly, and every time I try to focus on what he firstly told me, like, learn to enjoy the small joys of life. Like, and really, life is in the small joys, in the golden moments, like how he says. So every day, the mindset must be, okay, if this was my last day, how do I choose to live it? What am I going to do to serve him today? What can I do to improve his mission? What can I do to improve my relationship? But it's not easy. The mind tells you one thing and the heart is telling you another. It's a constant battle.
Always a choice. Yeah, always a choice. Every moment you have to choose which way to go.
It's funny you're telling me that, because even sometimes, this must sound ridiculous, but I go in the mirror and I tell, it's a choice that you make at every moment. Which voice you want to listen to. Yeah.
We're so blessed to have him. So blessed to have.
We are. I don't know if you have the same questioning, but I ask myself, what did I do to deserve this? What did I do to deserve a master like him?
I think everybody thinks this. When they realize and they recognize him, they realize who he is. Because if you look back at your life, you're like, it makes no sense. From a logical point of view, it makes no sense. So only he knows why and what. And at the end of the day, the only thing is, I always come back to the same default setting, like the default setting. When people ask me, how are you? I say grateful. It's the only logical conclusion, grateful. Doesn't matter if I'm tired, the process we go through, it doesn't matter, grateful. Because if I have that as my default setting, everything goes. Even if it's good, not so good, whatever happens, if I'm grateful, then I can receive. Because if I'm not grateful, then I'm closed to the prasad that he's giving me, like whatever experience comes. So I'm trying to cultivate that since I came here. Because it's intense. In ashram, Guruji is not, he doesn't wait for you to, I have to take time to integrate the things that happened to me. Now, move on to the next look at Navaratri. It's like 9 days of, we are barely hanging on.
It's true.
And still, the only thing that we can have is gratitude. And if we have this, I think that
it's beyond good and bad.
Yeah. This is gratitude. You just accept, and everything derives from that. This is one of the feelings. And I think also to have always to practice this presence, to feel that he is with you. It's not like we have to call him from somewhere far away. He's always here, and he's here while we talk, The only thing that we need to do is like to acknowledge that presence, to focus on, okay, you are with me always. So, yeah.
Yeah. And he always tells us, don't waste time. You think Vaikuntha is when you... He always says, no, Vaikuntha is here and now. You have to find Vaikuntha here and now. Yeah. We shouldn't waste time. We don't know, like he says, we don't know when he's going to decide to take us. That helps. Like the mindset of maybe this is my last day, I think it helps a lot because automatically you have that gratitude and you have that presence. I think that has to be the mindset.
I think it's. I don't want to make it dramatic or sports, but meditation on one's death is really important because it helps you to let go. Some might sound strange, but I try to constantly meditate on that since I had a really traumatic experience when I was in high school because I was quite young and my cousin back then he was suffering from a muscular dystrophy. I think it's called. It's incurable, and basically the muscles are shrinking, and they at one point the heart just doesn't work anymore. And he was like a brother. We spent every summer together, and at one point the heart just doesn't function anymore. And when he died, it was such a powerful moment for me. My mind didn't accept it, didn't understand it. I was a teenager, right at that crux when you try to make up what is life, who am I? And that was the moment I decided God doesn't exist. So I still remember the moment. I was in the shower, I was preparing to go to his funeral, and God was a concept for me. It was the man in the sky, I don't know.
Long beard.
Yeah, you don't know who he actually is. And I remember clearly the image of manifesting himself, just because I needed someone to fight with. So I needed a person in front of me. And I manifested somehow in my mind. I said, and I remember taking him by the collar and saying, you don't exist. And like throwing him out of my heart, like literally. And I still remember that. And after I did that, it was downhill for me. Because I had no purpose whatsoever. Drugs, alcohol, depression, suicide thoughts, all the package came with darkness. And I was like lost for a couple of years. And it took me years to heal that, to understand that. And that was basically my biggest trauma, throwing away God from my heart. And I'm still healing that. Just this month, we came from a retreat in Zakynthos. It was the forgiveness saint there. And we did an exercise. We went there and I realized I haven't forgiven myself and I haven't forgiven God. And it was so strange to have that experience. I haven't forgiven God for that moment. And after he died, in that process, I started contemplating death, like every day. I said, I don't want to be caught off guard anymore because other people close to me will die. So I started contemplating my parents' death, my sister's death, now my wife. And even when my child was born, I was looking at her, she was like this old. And I said, what if she dies now? Like literally, I'm holding her and she dies. How do I react? And I try to envision that and have it in the back of my head just to understand that nobody belongs to me. And I'm not the one who is going to save them, and God is not responsible and He's to blame. It's just the way it is. Everybody has their journey and you just go with it. And it helped me to deal with my grandfather's death. And when he died, he was like on the deathbed, he was watching the ceiling and he was pointing out in the corner and said, there are some kids there playing, like watching at the ceiling. I don't see I don't see children playing, you know. But it was clear the veil was thinner between the worlds, and he was seeing the angels, whatever he was seeing. And he was so attached to life because of fear. And he didn't want to let go. He was afraid because he said, I committed some sins and God will not forgive me. And it were not major sins, some things that were holding him back. And I remember lying in bed with him. He was in bed for like 6-7 years. And I was staying with him and I asked him, Grandpa, when is the last time you exit this room? I said, I don't even remember. And he was like walking all the time. He said, I think it's time to get out of this room. What do you say? Just go with the angels. The kids are waiting for you to play. Don't you want to play with them? And we stayed for an hour and we talked. And after holding his hand, and at one point later, the next day, he just went in peace, you know. And that's when I understood it's just a step. It's just a step.
Did you know Guruji at the time?
No, I didn't. But it came as a result of the trauma, you know. And I said, meditate, constantly meditated. It gave me this understanding somehow intuitively that it's just a step. Because it was so painful to blame God. And I still feel that pain, you know, that I don't want to go that way ever, you know. Just it's beautiful. Even in a strange way, death is beautiful, and whatever we do is like a preparation for that moment. Yeah. Where do we have that focus? When we have the focus?
It's funny because when I received this news that I had 3 months, I started to do my research on death. Okay, what can I do to prepare myself? So I was literally on YouTube, Paramahamsa Vishwananda on death. So there's a couple of satsangs actually where Guruji speaks about it, and he says you have to make death your best friend. And he even says death is life.
Yes,
death is life. When you do that work of contemplation on death, you understand the purpose of life.
Yes.
And like you said, it's a preparation for that moment. Even reading the stories of the Bhagavatam, you know, Bhishma, taking inspiration from the saints also and how they see death. What the saints go through, no? It's such an inspiration, and to be able to have the chance to contemplate on death and to have those kind of experience like you're sharing, it's actually a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing. But I'm curious to know, like, how did you came from being angry with God and blaming Him?
I reached to switch.
Yeah.
I reached rock bottom. So I went so down, so deep in that suffering and depression that I ended up in the bathroom with the blade in my hand, and I said, I have only one option. Either I end it now because it made no sense, or I go up. And for me, what was overwhelming was the suffering of the world that I couldn't bear, because this person, and this is where knowledge kicks in. Having an Orthodox background, there was the one life scenario, and also the one chance scenario, and it was breaking me on the inside to know that God would choose for that person this scenario in which he was like in a wheelchair for all his life, and then ended like this without him ever having the chance to experience life. And he was like he was longing to travel. That was he was dreaming of this travel. He was watching the maps all the time, and he never got that chance. And for me it was like so unjust, and I said, how could God give this guy, this young man, give him like 14 years of life and then take it away? This is absurd, you know. and coupled with teenage years and coupled with the suffering of the world where you feel everything, that was like a disaster. It was a disaster. So I was jumping from the cliff, deep diving in that darkness, And when I reached the rock bottom and I saw the decision, talking about choices, in that moment I said, what if? What if God isn't that cruel being? What if he has a plan? What if there is a purpose behind that, And then slowly, because it's a prospect, it's the threshold of now it ends, and I'm like, okay. And that was the moment I turned back, and it's like going deep into the cave, and I said, okay, let's turn around. And when I looked, I saw the small flickering light at the end, and I said, okay, let's see what's on the other side. Give God a chance, So I started slowly going towards him, slowly making baby steps, and then he just opened everything, just started opening everything. And when I met my wife, then we really started walking on the spiritual path. And then by his grace, we met him. But also he pushed, somehow he gave me this experience of going deep until this threshold, And it's liberating when you see that there's actually no end. Because with the knowledge now, I know that it was in his plan, and that my cousin has experienced one step in his journey. It was not the end. It's not eternal damnation and hell, So, never let go of God. That's my conclusion. Never let go of God. Whatever happens, never let go of his feet. Never let go of him. Because he's going to take you wherever you have to be. It's not good or bad. It's just a step. It's just a crossing to where you have to be as servants. You just need to serve him, so he's going to choose where to serve. Like, okay, no here, no here, no here. Now on the other side, you come back. Come back, you have some stuff to do.
The way I see it, like how you describe it, it's like he put you on the cliff, like
right. Contemplate a little bit the jump.
But then it was your choice to turn, no?
Yes.
And you gave the first step. And then it's how Guruji says, you give one step to God, he gives 100 for you to reach him.
And it was reaching him was the sum of all the choices that we started making. Yeah. Even coming here, ending up in the ashram now, it was like a choice. He gave us the hint, you can be here, and then we had to jump.
Yeah.
And after you jump, because jumping is the easy part.
You think?
Yeah, jumping is the easiest. Because once you jump, you have like people, oh, jump, it's nice, come. But once you start falling, then the mind kicks in, and you're like, oh, will the parachute open? Do I have the safety? Will someone catch me? And this on the fall, while you fall, that's the treacherous part, and that's when you really have to focus. That's where all the sadhana, all the practice that you've did, it kicks in. Yeah. The training, what you practiced, because once we decided to come here, then everything exploded. Family, friends, situations, blah, blah, blah. And that's when I was like, Draupadi every moment, every day, surrender, Govinda, because otherwise it doesn't work without surrender.
Yeah, even in Portugal we have now, because we are having this new ashram, we have devotees being asked by Guruji, they ask him where they should be now, and Guruji is telling a lot of families, you should move next to the ashram. And you have families like jobs, well-paid jobs, very nice life, a house, kids at school, and suddenly they have to give up all of this to go live in another place. The trust that they have in Guruji's word, it's so inspiring. You can see they are so full of fear, but still they do it because he told them to do so. And there's this quote now that's coming to me, like when you do the step, God will give you the floor. It's something like this. But you can really see through the examples of other devotees, like how he's really here to do that, no? To give you the ground floor. Like, okay, you trust me, I will support you.
I will manifest.
Yeah. You see people moving, suddenly a big opportunity comes, the kids have place at school, schools that are very hard to get in.
Yeah.
Suddenly an amazing job opportunity comes after I don't know, after trusting him, no? He again, if you do one step towards him, he will make all the way to you.
And we hear these stories, I mean, even here, all the community members here, they have similar stories. And sometimes you hear it so often, it becomes, it's like, it's something that we do, like miracles just happen in our life. And that's where we have to remind ourselves to not taking it for granted, because it's such a rare opportunity. We cannot stress this enough. I think we cannot stress this enough. The grace and the opportunity that we have to have him as a master and to hold us. And literally showing us that God is real. Because we could talk about it, we could conceptualize it and read it in books. I was reading about God since forever, and I was like, oh, God is real, God is real. And then I hit my first challenge, God is not real anymore, But now with Guruji, I cannot say God is not real. It's impossible for me. Only if I'm really stupid. That's always an option for my mind to take over in some weird way. So I pray for the grace that I don't go blind in that aspect. But I cannot say God is not real anymore, and He's forever and ever with us. That's a fact. And like your story showed, He's with us every step.
Yeah, literally,
like it's not words. Amazing. This was like such a great conversation. I'm so happy we got the chance to have this conversation. And I'm sure it's going to inspire a lot of people who are going to watch this. So we thank you for staying with us so long.
Yeah. Sorry for so much detail, but
I think they are grateful because you don't have this opportunity to understand and to go into such detailed stories like this. So
thank you for the chance also to share.
It was a match made in heaven.
Yeah, it was very fun how it happened. Like
I didn't even have a thought about doing anything during Navaratri because it's so crazy. I was not planning anything. It was out of my mind. And when you asked me about the next episode, I said, next episode, very good idea. When do we meet? So it was, it's nice how Guruji arranges. So thank you for being on the podcast.
And thank you for the service also.
It's His grace, So it's enriching, and I'm grateful that we can do this. See what happens with our next step, but as the lesson for today is just enjoy the present moment. So I'm grateful for being here now. And like I always say to the people, stay grounded and walk straight towards God because He's always with us. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.